Jesus was crucified. Socrates had to drink poison, and people laughed at Buddha. Then what makes you think that everybody will understand you? When truth, compassion, and wisdom made people uncomfortable, then why are you still afraid of it? Think of criticism like this. The more your light grows, the bigger your shadow becomes. We all naturally want to attract praise in our lives and naturally avoid criticism. We invite circumstances in life that will bring praise and stay away from situations that will bring criticism. But we know it very well that it never leaves us. In fact, when at times we realize that no one else is criticizing us, in our head we find ourselves criticizing ourselves in the very first opportunity, in a very small mistake, as if we are filling the gaps on behalf of all the other people that could criticize us. We criticize ourselves. The bad news is that the criticism can never end. It will never end. Because everything and everybody falls under the ambit of criticism. Anything and everything can be criticized. So no matter what you do, how wise you become, and how much successful you become, there will always be an opportunity to be criticized. Because that's the nature of everything. But the good news is that you can rise above it. You can definitely rise above criticism. Look, the more people watch my videos, the more comments come. And the more comments come, the more criticism comes. People belittle me, they mock me, they say nasty things to me. And if I were to take them seriously and look at those criticisms beyond what they're worth, then I will be paralyzed. I won't be able to utter another word online because I'll be so afraid. But perhaps I have years of experiences and wisdom on my side that now I'm not afraid of criticism. But there was times 15, 20 years ago, I would look at other people speaking so simply and profoundly and comfortably. I would wonder, aren't they afraid of criticism? I was so afraid of making a Facebook post or writing anything on my Instagram because I knew until I delete it, it's there forever. Hello. So that goes away with life experiences, with wisdom, not the criticism, but your response to it. Because you cannot change people and outer circumstances. People will always find a way to criticize you. Even when it's not due, they will find a way to criticize you. So if you go on trying to fix external circumstances, it's not going to work. But your response, you can change it. And the only place where you have to work is here, within. People make fun of my beard and my appearance and call me fake guru and call me whatnot. And perhaps there are people who listen to me for the same reason that I look like this. So how do I take criticism personally? Let me tell you. I have a very neutral attitude towards criticism. When someone praises me and criticizes me, I clearly see that it has nothing to do with me. They're speaking about themselves. They're giving me information about how they feel when they listen to me, what they think when they listen to me, how they perceive things, how their thought processes work. In fact, with enough of comments, I treat it as a lot of information and knowledge on human behavior and human condition. I cannot go and fight with everybody who is... Because look, sometimes a thought comes and says, hey, I'm sharing so honestly and so authentically and with a vulnerable humanity. How can you not see this? And if you don't see this, then what kind of a human you have become that you can't see this? But you see that they are not standing in the same frequency, in the same vibration, in the same plane of existence, so to speak. So of course they cannot see it. And it is an act of compassion, I would say. It is an act of understanding that when you realize that they are coming from their own backgrounds, their own education, their own openness or closeness of mind, because now I'm speaking of both the people that praise and criticize. People only see as much as they've seen themselves. So you need to understand this really clearly, that people talk about themselves. They're not talking about you. Everybody has an idea of who you are. Everybody sees you in their own image. So in a way that everybody is a mirror, but nobody has like an eternal knowledge of you. Nobody knows your eternal truth. Everybody has their own perspective. Let me quickly give you another perspective on criticism from brain science. So you know that we have prefrontal cortex and we have the limbic brain. In both the developmental manner and in the evolutionary process, the limbic brain grows, matures faster, and the prefrontal cortex takes time. In the evolutionary process means this brain, the limbic brain, the ancestral brain, with quick responses, with quick decision making. If something, a wild animal comes right behind me, the response of fight or flight or freeze will be natural. I wouldn't even know, but my body will immediately react, either run or freeze or attack back. That's my limbic brain. That's a survival mechanism. And that response is set for millions and millions of years. But human is a different animal in the whole animal kingdom. A human is different because its prefrontal cortex kept on developing. It's the highest, if you look in proportion, between the limbic brain and the prefrontal cortex. This is your PFC is where your logic is, your reasoning is. That's why it's also sometimes called slow brain, because it takes time. You will have to override the responses that come from the limbic brain and use your prefrontal cortex to put new responses. I'll give an example. Your boss criticizes you, and your limbic brain, the brain that is ancestral, that is emotional, that is quick reactive because of habits, it will say, oh my God, I hope I don't lose my job. What happens if I lose my job? Last year I lost my job and I fell in depression. I don't want to go in depression. What if this is the end? Everything will end just with one criticism from boss. But you can override this and say, use your reasoning, use your logic, and say that, no, I'm not going to lose my job. It's just a small criticism and it has some value. I can turn on a monk mode and within a month I will improve myself. And even if I lose my job, I'm going to find another one. No matter what happens, I'm the child of this universe. This universe will find a way to take care of me. In the end, whatever happens, I'll be all right. This is the new wiring. You can train yourself to think like that. And so this is important, because otherwise, if you're not using your, some people also call it higher brain and the lower brain. A higher brain is more conscious, more evolved, and more recent. So you always need to pause and reflect. And that's how you change your response. That's how you change your response. While many animals cannot change their responses. If once the response is set, it's set. But a human, for better and for worse, can actually do that, can change its wiring, brain wiring, neuroplasticity, you know. You can train yourself to think differently, to feel differently, to be differently, to live differently. You can train all these neural synapses, neural connections. So when you realize that if you're afraid, if you're fearful, or if you're angry because of something, that's a quick response. You are so used, so habituated with that response. But you can pause and reflect and use your reasoning, use your brain, your logic, and come to a new understanding. Because it's not the same tribal society it used to be. Before, rejection or criticism meant that you will be thrown out of the community, of the tribe. It could also mean that you will die. But now it doesn't happen. Now it's not the case. But the same brain is still responding. So it's still thinking that it's the same threat. But it's not. And that's why, you know, I can say 100 beautiful things in all my videos, but if in one video I say something stupid, I know that most people will be so taken aback and so completely, they will have a paradigm shift of who I am. Because as long as I'm agreeable, it's all pleasant. But the moment one thing I say that is different, it's a threat. But that you can override. You can always override that. Okay. Now you cannot invite praise in your life and criticism won't come. You cannot invite money in your life and expenses won't come. You cannot invite health in your life and sickness won't come. You cannot invite happiness and sorrow won't come. Life, the way it appears to us, is always dual. Always comes in two. The flip side of the coin is always there. You cannot just pick and choose one. You can open yourself and embrace everything in its totality. Allow everything to unfold, everything to come as it comes to you, and dance with it, flow with it, move with it. But it will be a foolish endeavor if you're just thinking that I can grow to a point where there will be no criticism anymore. The more you grow, the more criticism will be there. And you cannot, and I know many people don't really pursue their dreams, their goals, because they're so afraid of failure, because their self-image is linked with the person who is successful. So if you fail, you make a mockery of yourself. But no, you can change this wiring. You don't have to create a self-image. Like Bruce Lee said, be water, my friend. Water takes the shape of any vessel it goes into. Put it into a glass, a cup, a big pot, a big earthen pot, a big tank. It takes the shape of the vessel. So in the same way, you're not a rigid entity. You are a fluid, shapeless, formless, nameless being. And everybody sees you in their own image. You don't have a rigid, fixed identity. But as long as you live with that rigid, fixed identity, and you want to uphold it, and you want to use that identity to impress people, then only that identity is under the risk. If you have an agenda, if you have an image that you want to always portray, then that image is at risk. That agenda can fail. But if you are established in your being, knowing that everything else is just a superimposition, just a layer on top of being, the being is always shining in fullness, in completeness, in its entirety, then you know that everything else is just lila, just a play, and you can play the game without worrying about criticism, without worrying about anything. If you come to a point in life where you could say that I don't mind what happens, whatever happens, happens. It's okay what happens. Then perhaps you can live differently. You can move in life differently, feel differently. Yeah, don't be afraid of criticism. It's not something that breaks you. It's just a polish. It's polishing you. It's also a good test of your character. You know, when you think you are rooted in your stillness, in your stability, in your being, and when criticism comes and it sways you, it moves you, then you know that you're not still there. You're not really rooted. So you know where to work, what to do, where the gap is. You know, the insights will come to you. Because only praise will flatten you. You won't grow. You need resistance. Like an artist, if he wants to show or she wants to show light, that she has to paint a black background, a dark background. Contrast needs to be there for any art of work, any work of art to be created. In the same way, you need resistance to grow. In fact, it's dangerous for you if you are surrounded by people who always praise you. And then in the end, it's not that you need to be only not afraid of criticism. You also need to be a little bit afraid of praise, because it gets to you. But remember, it's not you who's being praised. So if you can become equanimous, neutral, even to both praise and criticism, then you can just become a definition of a master from Tao Te Ching, from Lao Tzu. A master does her work and forgets about it. And you live like that. You do your thing, you step back into your being. You do your thing again, you step back into your being. Don't have to always worry about what happens. Yeah, all the best. Okay, before I leave, I want to again invite you to my weekly community letters that I send you. Please join me on Substack. The link for Substack is on the About section of my YouTube channel. So go to the About section, About Me section, and you'll find a link. Go there, subscribe to me so that I have your email, and every week I can reach out to you with my writings on these topics. And if I ever plan something, organize something, and if you want to remain closer in touch with me, then you will be the first ones to receive those emails. And it won't depend on the algorithm to decide to show my video to how many people. So please go there and follow me, subscribe me on Substack. And I will see you soon. Take care.